well, let's just go ahead and mess around with this motion sensing, and hopefully we can able to actually just mess around with it. Okay, I should stop. Anyway, hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? It is I am the one and only Maxi here once again, and I'm back for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Super Mario 3D All-Stars while we're playing through Super Mario Galaxy for the Nintendo Switch. So, I believe last time we have managed able to almost completely done with the forms of the kitchen dome, and on top of all that stuff though, we did manage to collect even more power stars during the course of the bedroom. So today, for this video, is the fact that we're also able to carry on exploring around in the forms of Freeze Flame Galaxy, and maybe we can able to continue exploring through the actual bedroom itself. So hopefully we should be able to actually classify that. So anyways, let's get to it. Hot and cold collide. So this means it's a combination of fire and ice. Well, that was before when Sonic Boom Fire and Ice managed able to get its game on the 3DS until 2016, if I'm assuming so correctly. Like usually when the 25th anniversary of Sonic the Hedgehog exists. But, I digress. So, anyways, let's go ahead and skate along, and, jeez, I just got burnt, but that's okay. Because, obviously, I just managed able to skip that crystals there, so that way we don't need to worry about just smashing them. Well, aside from the fact that there are a couple of, bits here and there, but regardless of such though, let's smash that crystal over there, so that way we can launch ourselves into the actual planet as we go. And, well, we're also able to actually find the fire flower, so we need to use the fire flower to be able to light up these particular, you know, those lanterns here. So either way, though, we can able to expect this so, although originally I was expecting to try to able to get myself my life shroom, but I don't think I can probably necessarily need it from now on. So either way, though, let's just carry on and all that jazz. So hopefully we could able to potentially try to do some awesome skills there, such as, for instance, you know, I always attempt to able to do some skillful based playthroughs and such like that sometimes. Although most of the time though, whenever we get to later missions though, even for later galaxies though, sometimes there might be some trial and error involved, but as you probably already noticed ever since and during the course of the past few videos ago, at least ever since in Sling Pod Galaxy and stuff like that. Well, mind you, about the fact that that particular level utilizes the forms of trying to able to pull the actual Sling Pod to the other side and all that jazz. So anyways, let's go and launch ourselves into this icy and lava kind of platforms there, which appears to be on the exact same location as we already did from the Cosmic Mario race, except now we need to be able to utilize the ice flower a lot for the sake of the forms of that section. So yeah, if you're following through our Let's Play of the original Super Mario Galaxy Let's Play, you know exactly what this is going for. So anyway, a few things I want to explain for this point today about the fact the matter is though, is the fact that unfortunately though, my computer starts to able to lag all of a sudden, but regardless of such though, I think the actual footage is, well, sort of okay. I mean, surely that it might actually not to be considered to be the worst thing in the world, but either way though, it's just the fact that unfortunately my computer starts to lag all of a sudden, so even then though, I'm guessing it's more accurately, it's likely, whenever I was trying to able to actually upload something onto its massive gigabyte storages or something like that, but either way though, it knows what it is. So there we go. 53 power stars so far, so naturally speaking that we've almost at the halfway point in terms of the Mario's playthrough of the game. So because of this though, well, I'm sure that most people already know what I was about to try to explain about this. As far as I'm aware also, that this is by far the longest video we might consider doing for the sake of the forms of the Super Mario Galaxy portion of the game in terms of Super Mario 3D All-Stars so far. But it might not be an hour long, but either way though, we'll also see what happens there. So, and thankfully we're nowhere near as close to that penguin because, god, last time was just so weird. That, for some reason, isn't that weird? That the penguin might almost try to kiss Mario from that last time we actually saw that? Well, mind you, because of the fact that I was being too hasty and fast for able to do tons of ice skating here and there, but whatever, no big dealio, but at the very least we can able to actually just move along, and hopefully we can able to do with a secret mission. So Yeah, because as I said, we're gonna have to do something completely different in terms of the forms of this particular structure with this game for the sake of the 3D All-Stars version is that, like I said, I have to save the secret missions for last until whenever we get into the forms of other stuff that we can tackle through. So, just to make things a little bit different for its variety and all that stuff though, mind you, it won't be, you know, exactly the same as the forms of, although the actual completionist-wise, it'll be pretty much exactly the same as the original Wii version, except, well, thankfully we can able to actually upload these videos in a much more lengthy time than its 20-minute counterparts, so, at least for the most part anyway. So let's just go ahead and time our backflip jump until our Ice Flower power-up ability will run out, and sure enough, we can able to progress, so... Because obviously that's what the secret mission is located, so... Which is pretty obvious, we're gonna be able to go on top of the actual summons before we're able to progress. So yeah, that might be self-explanatory for the sake of this convenience, so... Anyways, let's go ahead and do more backflips. Oh, what the... How the hell did he hit me? Oh, come on, 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 come on. Ah, so close! Oh, what the... Oh, how dare you? How dare you harm me, ice vampires? Or to be more specifically, these ice bats. Jeez, I'm almost gonna get myself wrecked by those ice bats. Well, nothing matters anyway, though, because either way, though, I'm pretty sure I might as well succeed this time by continuous backflip jumps until I make this part a tad easy, and wow, that was really, really close. I'm hoping there might be a coin in here, which appears to be in this particular crystal I can smash, so at the very least I can able to actually consumption for the smash. And also, triple jump on top of the snowman's head, and able to... Oh, son of a biscuit! Okay, I've had enough of these guys. I have really had enough of these guys. Because, well, I have no idea why. They just simply love to ambush me for some reason. But, oh well, at the very least we can able to just continue things on here. Although I would like to able to do a coolest trick I can do by able to actually not able to actually use the fire flower in order to able to just get up there. But maybe until the second playthrough of Super Mario Galaxy in terms of, well, you know exactly what's going to coming up, so... But that's not going to be until likely for the next few weeks or something like that, or possibly even like, until next month, if possible. But either way though, we'll have to wait and see, so... Conquering the summons, which we've already did, despite the fact that I've almost gonna get wiped out thanks to those godforsaken ice bats. But... hopefully though, and thankfully though, we somehow managed to make it. So there we go. So now let's move on to the next galaxy, which is of course Dusty Dawn Galaxy. So let's get on with this, shall we? But anyway, so the first mission we have on this is Soaring on the Desert Winds. So obviously the main emphasis on this mission is that obviously we need to rely on the forms of the winds in order to be able to get up there. But anyway, enough about that specific explanation. Let's get to the forms of that particular commentary of the day. That it appears to be by the forms of, well, today's days is pretty obvious. Today's day is, of course, the 14th of September today, in this case in 2022 today. And I suppose that Tiana has forgot to mention about ever since during the course of her Let's Play of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening remake, or no, not the remake, Link's Awakening DX for the Game Boy Color, for the sake of that particular Let's Play itself. Recently, that, well, despite that, you know, like I said, Tiana has forgotten to mention about, that is the fact that, well, yesterday, happy 5th year anniversary of that pretty, I'm not gonna lie, a pretty cool Nintendo Direct with only one particular thing I wasn't really too fond of, but that's what it appears to be, that particular Nintendo Direct. That's what it appears to be on the 13th of September in 2017. Jeez, I can't even believe that particular Direct has been out for 5 years now. I mean, surely, how come the actual day itself just went flying by all of a sudden? But I do remember that one particular thing back in the day, likely for 5 years ago, that I remember that I was so hyped about the forms of some more stuff they added in, for the sake of the forms of more information on Super Mario Odyssey, and also on top of all that stuff though, some more additional stuff, like mainly for like, you know, more updates thanks to forms of, you know, more mentioning about the forms of Metroid Return of Samus Returns, which is obviously a remake of Metroid 2 Return of Samus for the 3DS, and also some more info about the forms of, well, let's just say the forms of the Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Well, despite the fact that I was Pokemon fan out, well, mind you, I still got some spin-offs though, don't get me wrong. Mainly for like, you know, Pokemon Snap on the N64, Pokepark Duology games, and of course, Pokken Tournament DX, which I'm not sure why I just got that, but regardless of everything else though, mainly because of the forms of this, it's like a fighting Pokemon game where if you can able to actually take control of the forms of certain Pokemon on a fighting game. But at the very least, I can able to accept that. But, anyway, and speaking of such though, is the fact that, relatively speaking, I guess, that is the fact that, well, I fondly remembered about the fact that I do remember that, they usually managed to first revealed, the actual Pokeball edition with a new Nintendo 2DS XL design looks like. And it does look pretty accurate though, like, usually relatively speaking, I know for the fact that it's basically a 2DS XL, not just the 3DS XL anymore, but regardless of anything else though, that I do remember that cool thing back then. And same applies to the forms of a new brief update for the sake of the forms of Mario Luigi Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions on the 3DS, despite, you know, when that game usually came out, that unfortunately though, that game suffers by the forms of poor sales, mainly because of how the fact that, well, that was about 2 years before, when it gets to 2019, where, you know, Alpha Dream just somehow got bankruptcy. So because of that though, I just felt, you know, incredibly emotional for the sake of seeing that, you know, the event happening. So, but I digress. And I do remember actually, that the forms of some new foes been added for the sake of the forms of Kirby Battle Royale, despite how most people don't care about the game that much, in comparison to the forms of what do I keep on saying, Pokemon? Maybe I keep thinking about the forms of another thing I would like to mention, but we'll save that conversation until whenever we continue proceeding for this. So, anyway, let's get to it with the forms of the second mission, and that is blasting through the sand. Oh man, I did have a bit of a struggle memories with this mission whenever I first time I played a game on the Wii, because I almost first thought that was going to be a puzzle solving kind of mission, but it turns out it might be self-explanatory, so in this case though we can expect this much. So anyway, with Kirby Battle Royale, despite how the fact that, like I said, most people don't usually play that game as much as me. But regardless of such though, it's the fact that because obviously they just really want to move on to the Nintendo Switch during that time, and on top of all that stuff though is the fact that relatively speaking, I do remember that, fondly remembered about the fact that, wow, usually that most people do care about Kirby Star Allies, despite the forms of the bare bones, you know, launch kind of stuff, and also, strongly recommended and a Forgotten Land, because obviously that was actually a new game that just, you know, came out for almost like 6 months ago. Well, it wasn't until when it gets to the point until, until the 25th of this month. So, yeah, that might be something usually I like to discuss. So, anyway, so, and also I do remember about the fact that they did announce, a pretty cool title, despite the fact it was quite bombed when it comes to the forms of not only for reviews, but also the sales, because as far as I'm aware, although the cool thing about that, the actual Nintendo Direct back in the day, from the forms of September 2017, that is the fact that Minecraft was actually on the new 3DS, which I will say, it does look pretty cool to be able to actually finally play that game on the go, on the 3DS handheld model device. Mind you, it only usually works on the new 3DS hardware, because without it, then obviously that you can't play it. Although, thankfully, the Switch version still exists, so at the very least, you're still able to get a chance to actually just to play the Super Mario Mashup Pack, along with the forms of the Sonic Minecraft series here and there as well. I still be meaning to try to able to get that game at some point, but maybe when it gets to like a cheaper price or something like that, because either way though, I'll be so glad able to actually finally get a chance to not only play Minecraft Super Mario Edition, but also the Sonic Edition as well. And maybe they'll actually add in a bit more, but either way, they'll just have to wait and see. So anyway, let's go ahead and get ourselves another extra life. Even though, mind you, that we've already organized with ourselves, because obviously we've got a whole bunch of extra lives right now, 33 at the moment. Well, technically 34. That's, you know, like I said so many times already. If zero shows up on the forms of the lives counter, this means you still got one chance left, so there's nothing else to be able to explain about this again, so we don't feel like we're trying to able to go through bears repeating kind of stuff, so... Speaking of bears repeating though, did I accidentally say about the fact that that was quite literally the frustrating level in terms of Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time? Because obviously with that particular polar bear section, it was actually the most frustrating part of that particular level because, well, you know what I mean with the actual, you know, breaking all these box crates, and also the controls on the polar bear is like way too loose and all that stuff. But that again though, we're not going to talk about that right now, because obviously we are still carry on having a conversation with the forms of, you know, ever since 5 years ago for the September's Nintendo Direct in 2017. So anyway, enough about that. Now I do remember that I was very excited about, mind you, that was back in the day that was. That's what appears to be by the forms of the revealed announcement for the likes of, wow, Mario Party, the top 100. So yeah, I can't even believe it's been 5 years ago since when Mario Party, the top 100 was first released, or should I say, first announced, I should say. So yeah, I can't believe it's been time flying all of a sudden. But I'll discuss on that in a second, because the next mission we have is Sunbaked Sandcastle. So of course we need to able to get down there somehow by, you know, what else, do some more obstacles along the way, so you probably expect it at this point, so... Anyway, and for what I've looked back on the forms of the Mario Party the Top 100, well, despite the fact that most people seem to get disappointed back in the day, mind you, luckily we got the superior Switch version, or the Switch equivalent, by the forms of Mario Party Superstars, so at the very least you're still able to play classic minigames from the classic Mario Party series, and also you get those actual game boards, as opposed to just only one board in the top 100. Well, I have no idea why, they just managed able to rush things out. And also not to mention though, the lackluster character roster back in the forms of in 2017 from Mario Party the top 100, because I was expecting they'll bring back the classic playable characters from the past games, ranging from, you know, Donkey Kong, Toad, Boo, and maybe not Mini Bowser or Koopa Kid because he was now forgotten. So maybe Bowser Jr., or even especially noticeable with Toadette and Bodo, Dry Bones, Blooper, Hammer Bro, and even every once in a while Koopa, Shy Guy, and Kamek, and even Spike and I think that's as far as I can think about it. And also Diddy Kong as well, but unfortunately though it comes off as like a very shallow experience, and especially noticeable after 5 years when that game first announced. Well, suffice to say, I think this is quite literally one of my second least favorite Mario Party game, next to let's just say Mario Party Advance for the worst. So, because still, it's entirely up to in my opinion. Although I will say about the fact the matter is though, is the fact that at least I'll give Mario Party 10 some credit for. At the very least, you can play multiplayer on the home console experience, and thus it does have some interesting mini games in the 10th installment. And also on top of that, you do get actual boards, despite the fact that you're able to actually get 5 boards, very much like the forms of how it does it on, you know, not only Mario Party DS, but also recently Mario Party Superstars, which, either way though, but that was back in the day I was keep on about. But, and also on top of all that stuff though, that most people, like I said, that most people seem to get very, very disappointed with. The top 100 is only exclusive to the 3DS back in the day, which I know for the fact that it came out on the late life cycle when it comes to the 3DS's lifespan, because, well, since that the Switch has already came out during the course of in March the 3rd in 2017, so at the very least, now like I said, thankfully we've got ourselves the much more better equivalent from that particular classic Mario Party compilation game, which appears to be, you know, Mario Party Superstars, because like I said, you know, actual game boards, and even, way more gorgeous visuals than the likes of how it does it on the 3DS equivalent. Although, don't get me wrong, the art style was alright on the 3DS, equivalent, but it's just the fact that the content on the 3DS equivalent is just way too bare bones. And on top of all that stuff, though, I have no idea why they managed able to bring... Although it's nice to be able to have the file selection back, but it just feels a bit, I don't know, unnecessary to say the least. Especially noticeable that, you know, that was before when Super Mario Party and Mario Party Superstars was a thing. And then basically, though, is the fact that those two specific games offer us none of those file selections, unless there was actually a user creator, so... But who knows, no matters anyway, because either way though, that thankfully we've got the much more better game than the other 3DS version, at least to me anyway, so... With, you know, gem packs with more content and all that stuff, which, that's how it should be done. Well, despite the fact that, usually some people, complain about the forms of, well, that was in, a year ago, where most people seem to complain about the fact that where's the sixth board in Mario Party Superstars, but either way though, we're not going to talk about that right now, because either way though, we just need to continue our conversation about what's my, you know, other memorable moments. Well, I've already mentioned this before, that I really do enjoy the forms of that particular new info they added, for the sake of the forms of Metroid Samus Returns. Oh, and I even remember back in the day as well, that usually about 5 years ago, that, usually I remember that, back in the day that was, when it comes to Mario Party the Top 100. At least I did manage to watch the American version most likely, but I did manage to able to, watch the European version about, the next day, afterwards. But I do found out back in the day that, that game has been delayed in Europe, at first, during the course of 2018, but I was so mad and angry at the same time. But luckily though, it wasn't until likely back in the day, in like November or December during that time, in 2017, that I do remember that the game itself on European version / the Australian release of the game, thankfully it got pushed forward just before Christmas time, which is pretty cool, but like I said, it all ended up becoming the forms of my second least favorite Mario Party game I ever played, next to Mario Party Advance. Although I will say my third worst Mario Party games I ever played will have to be by the forms of Mario Party 10 for the better, just because, well, at the very least with gorgeous visuals, and, well, despite the fact that that game also has bare bones content, so that's as far as I can usually describe about it, so... Anyways, let's launch ourselves into that particular secret mission right here, which involves around the bullet bills. So, yeah, that might be something exciting, alright? Well, for the most part, anyway. So anyway, another thing that I do fondly remembered, and that's the forms of some more infos on the forms of the best for last, which appears to be, what else? Super Mario Odyssey's new updates, such as, for instance, filter mode, and also what the game itself actually looks like. And heck, even especially noticeable that they did somehow revealed the Nintendo Switch edition of the Super Mario Odyssey edition, which, back in the day, looks so awesome with all that, you know, pure red Joy-Cons representing Mario and stuff like that, which, to be honest with you, that is so cool. It's kind of a shame I don't have it though, most notably because of the fact that it might actually get pretty rare these days, so... Yeah, that might actually feels like some consumption. And also I do remember that they briefly show ourselves the forms of, well, brief moments of the forms of Sonic Forces for a little bit, despite the fact that that game is also kind of feels a bit disappointing for most Sonic fans out there, most notably because of shallow levels, and also the length is way too short, lasts for about 4 hours, so it's just like, you know, let's just hope it's so likely for Sonic Frontiers, we're able to actually, finally get ourselves a much more huger length than the forms of how it does it on this very lackluster 4 hours main campaign, for the sake of the forms of Sonic Forces, unless if you don't count the forms of some additional, you know, optional stuff, like, you know, red star rings and green rings to go through, and on top of all that stuff though, moon coins, so, or moon silver coins as far as I like to say for this point, for this essences. So anyway, so now we're done with this particular mission, despite the fact that it took me about a few minutes, but it doesn't bother me at all, to be honest with you. But hey, at least that's something is usually to behold. So anyway, so no way, we get ourselves our next power star based off from the secret mission in, you know, Sunbaked Sandcastle. So in this case, Bullet Bill on your back. So yeah, you better have to watch your back, Bullet Bill, because, well, relatively speaking, you have to use those a lot. So anyway, and also I do fondly remembered about the fact that they did show us some more info on Kirby Star Allies, which they show us, you know what I mean, when it comes to the forms of new allies, as well as some content, and also showing us the release date of the game, which later on became on a spring title in 2018, but I digress. Alright, next mission we have is Sandbox Speed Run, which is kind of the same thing as the second mission, except now we have to do it with a time limit, and on top of all that stuff though, there aren't that much enemies going on in this particular mission, aside from the beginning, because all you do is just basically just face off against with those pokey heads, and that's pretty much about it, so... But I digress. And I do remember also about the fact that that was actually a really great announcement when it comes to the forms of more information on, you know, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild DLC, and especially noticeable with all these amiibos revealed. But, and also the forms of the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim did manage able to get itself its Switch release back in the day, which, that was actually pretty cool, along with the forms of Splatoon 2 announcements, and especially noticeable with the forms of Rocky League updates here and there as well. But there's one particular game I wasn't terribly fond of, and that's what appears to be by the forms of, well, since I've already mentioned about this before, ever since in a couple of days ago, that you notice about the fact that I'm not the world's biggest fan in terms of the forms of the Xenoblade Chronicles series, despite the fact that the third game will be on its way on September for the sake of the September this month. But regardless of anything else though, it's just the fact that I wasn't exactly too crazy on, well, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, because, I don't know, something about the game just doesn't settle well for me. But that's just in my opinion, but everyone has their own opinions, so I appreciate for all that opinion-based, but regardless of such though, that's as far as I can usually, you know, fondly remembered when it comes to forms of, well, you know what I mean, likely 5 years ago for the Nintendo Direct in September in 2017, in 13th most likely. And also during that time, at exactly the same time as well, I guess, that basically also that I can't even believe it's been 4 years ago since the 2018 version of that particular September Direct as well. That that particular Direct has been announced for 4 years in 2018. And I was like, geez Louise, those two events with their respective years ago kind of syndrome, which I can't even believe the time itself is still flying by still, which I keep on saying this, but it bears repeating, but regardless of anything else though, that's as far as I can usually try to describe it. But anyway, so before we carry on with that discussion when it comes to my favorite moments in terms of the forms of actually kind of think about it, my favorite moments in terms of the forms of, oh god, that was close, because if I somehow managed to able to get involved with the actual sinkhole, then obviously I will have to start all over again with this mission. So, but thankfully though, this mission wasn't all that hard though, because obviously no enemies to be in sight, plus no forms to be found, and oh no, this is a very genuine, easier version of, well, the second mission, except, you know, you have to worry about the time limit, so I guess that's that. Alright, so I think we've only got one more mission to take care of, at least for now anyway, for you know, going back into Dusty Dawn Galaxy, which is of course something related to that green estimate of green question mark, which, if you remember that from the likes of the forms of not only the fountain, but also the kitchen domes respectively, which yes, we'll find, I would say, the third and the final green star in the whole entire game, because, you know, before when Super Mario Galaxy 2 was a thing, then basically though, it has gem-packed with all these green stars, like all 120 of them, so, yeah, because despite the fact that that game has been out for such a long time now, for likely 12 years ago. Jeez, 12 years ago. Oh my god, what did all go? But anyway, let's go ahead and feed Hungry Luma for about 20 star bits, so at the very least we can able to actually access to one of the planets. So in this case though, we can able to actually find something onto that particular pyramid itself. And I do know what's going to be up though, so yeah, it appears to be we're about to be going after the silver stars in here. So yeah, at least that's that. So anyway, yeah, because my favorite moments in terms of September Nintendo Direct for 2017, looking back on it for about 5 years ago, my favorite will have to be by the forms of let's just say Splatoon 2 updates, and also Mario Party the Top 100 announcements, despite the fact that it feels a bit bare bones, and also just felt a little bit disappointed with that installment. And on top of all that stuff though, you know, Mario Luigi Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions, and of course Metroid Samus Returns, and also oh, what else is there? Oh yeah, of course, Super Mario Odyssey, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild DLC, along with certain amiibos they added in, and it's just a genuine good, great Direct, I will say, apart from one disappointing thing, must brutally honest at this point. But anyway, enough about that. Let's get to the forms of fondly remembered about the forms of back in 4 years ago, from the likes of the 13th of September's Nintendo Direct in 2018 nonetheless. Because I do remember for about 4 years ago as well, that originally that Nintendo was supposed to be able to actually have the Nintendo Direct during the course of, I would say, on the 6th of September in 2018, but because I do remember that a very angry moment whenever I did manage to find out there was actually an earthquake in Japan back in the day. But relatively speaking though, it's just the fact that it's a bit of a shocking coincidence, and that's why they managed to able to delay that particular Direct for about a week later, back in June, of course, of 2018. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And as a result, though, they obviously managed to bring in some tons of new surprises back in the day. Like I remember, if I remember correctly, like first off, they revealed Luigi's Mansion 3 back in the day, which I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. The Nintendo Switch game involves around Luigi's Mansion and stuff like that. But anyway, Treasure of the Pyramid, the secret mission on that particular galaxy. You've managed to recover all of the green power stars and restore the green launch star. And also actually access to 3 other galaxies here and there. Even I don't know what's waiting for you out there beyond the green launch star. Which, like I said, I'll be able to actually just able to go into the forms of the 3 secret galaxies. But before we do that, let's talk to Male Toad, and we've noticed there was actually the final letter for Luigi, so this means we must rescue him for the 3rd and final time as Mario, because, well, you probably already know what's going to be coming up in the future. So anyway, so before we get back onto the forms of the continuation of the bedroom, we need to head over back onto the terrace for, I don't know how many times we actually went to there, but either way though, let's just say for about a few times, and that way we can able to head back into Honey Hive Galaxy, so that way we can able to deal with the secret mission takes place in B Mario Takes Flight. So, but this time around though, we can now able to actually use the B Mario power-up before you're able to actually progress, because unlike previously, that I somehow managed able to skip a good chunks of portions of that particular mission so far. Although, mind you, if we're able to actually go into Luigi's playthrough of the game, well, I'm sure that if you've followed through our Let's Play of Super Mario Galaxy on the Wii before, you know exactly how this goes. So, anyway, so let's just go ahead and change the camera by utilizing the right analog stick, which I guess that's, you know, still is a good thing that we now actually use the right analog stick to change the camera angles and stuff like that. Mind you, it still functions kind of the same way as the directional pad sometimes. I don't know if I can able to actually necessarily use the directional pad, but I haven't tested it out for myself. Although I was planning to as soon as I'm able to get into, well, the later portion of the game. So anyways, let's go ahead and get out of this galaxy, and, well, this is the last time we're going to be seeing Mario and Luigi celebrating their fanfare for obtaining the Power Star itself. Luigi in the Honey Hive Kingdom, that's the name of the secret mission, so that's that. And I suppose, before we're able to actually get into the actual, the bedroom side of things, although before I talk more details about that in a moment, I suppose I should probably another thing I would like to mention about the forms of, speaking of Luigi though, with the forms of Luigi's Mansion 3 announcement trailer that I fondly remembered back in 4 years ago, the visuals doesn't look all that great to be honest with you, apart from the fact that thankfully on the final version of the game, does got a whole lot more better with all that lighting effects and also textures alike, and even every once in a while though with the forms of, well, just pretty cool presentation in the final version, whilst unlike the 2018 alpha build, that it just kind of feels a bit, I don't know, generic, I guess? But anyway, so let's head on to the forms of Honey Climb Galaxy, scaling the sticky wall. So in this case, we have to use B Mario for the majority of this, this galaxy, so we can able to do just that. So, and also, remember back in the day as well, that, it usually just says Luigi's Mansion 3, but it does say, well, let's just say 2019 release, and, also I remember that, that particular number 3 logo is actually a lot different than the final version of the game. That usually in the final version of the game was actually the number 3 that actually has orange color, whilst compared to the false of the 2018 trailer, it just says like, all green and stuff like that. So, yeah, I guess that's that. Now, I do remember that one, long time ago, actually, that was actually the last time for the Nintendo Directs, of all things, did actually mention something related to the Nintendo 3DS headlines, because that was before when 2019 and onwards, they managed to able to actually mainly focusing on, you know, Nintendo Switch all the way through, because obviously the Switch is the most successful system at this point right now, and, yeah, because fundamentally speaking, back in 2018, that was actually the true definition of the final time of mentioning something for the 3DS headlines. Although, as far as I'm aware, I remember that some good stuff from the likes of the forms to able to actually get the last hurrah to the forms of the 3DS headlines for directs and stuff like that. First off, they actually show us, I remember, from the likes of the forms of Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn to be revealed back in the day, despite how the fact that most people already got the game originally on the Wii, but at the very least you can able to actually get the game on the go, so at the very least I still managed to got the game with me, but I haven't gone back into this yet though, mainly it's because, well, I'm still usually enjoy it though still, but it's just the fact that with Devilish mode can be a bit hellish at times, even if you're trying to go after those other collectibles and stuff like that. And also, brief updates of Mario Luigi Bowser's Inside Story plus Bowser Jr.'s Journey, and also Luigi's Mansion 1 as a 3DS remake, which I still find it's a bit unnecessary to begin with. And, I guess that was about it, basically, for the 3DS lineup. So, and also, from the likes of the forms of the Switch headlines back in the day and 4 years ago, I even remember about the fact that I saw the actual trailers of, or some snip tidbits for the forms of some infos on other games, like Splatoon 2 for its version 4, and also Mega Man 11, and also Mario Tennis Aces for its version 2 updates with all that, you know, online, you know, stuff to behold, and even especially noticeable with free character updates and stuff like that. But anyway, Big Mouth Galaxy, in this case Big Mouth's Gold Build, I think that's what the mission itself is named anyway. Mind you, I do apologize for that particular commentary because it's a little bit iffy at points, but either way though, let's just go ahead and do some fast swimming spinning. Look at me go! Especially noticeable about the fact that you can able to actually make this mission a total cakewalk if you do just that. No way, you don't need to worry about trying to keep on hunting for those star chips if you want able to launch yourselves upwards. So I can easily just manage to able to not only just try to continuous doing the forms of the spin attack for able to do some fast, cool swimming, but also you can able to actually use the wall jump onto any wall and able to actually hop onto the upper bit on the actual underwater we can swim through. So I always like doing that. Although I'm not exactly sure if Piglet does that during back in the day in 2019 on the other hand though, although I'm also able to look it up at some point once I'm done with this recording session. So anyway, so since we need able to actually acquire the gold shell in order able to actually excuse me, in order able to actually open up the golden chest, because that way we can able to get the power star like this. No, I do apologize for my disgusting belchiness earlier, so I do apologize for that. I do remember also is the fact that with Out of Nowhere back in the day, that good lord, they got another Wii U port back in the day, which appears to be buddy forms of, well, let's just say a Switch port to a Wii U game, I should say. That's what appears to be New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, where most people seem to find this fun a bit unnecessary, but at the same time though, I'm still excited back in the day. Like, especially noticeable for Out of Nowhere, I remember that whenever I saw P-Jet in action, I was like, holy crap, I did not notice that usually becomes a thing. Well, mind you, that was before when Mario Kart Tour was a thing. And on top of all that stuff though, with DLC stages for Captain Toad in mind. But anyway, enough about that. Let's head over to Bowser's Dark Matter Plant in the mission Darkness on the Horizon. Which means that the entire stage is going to be involved around entirely in 2D most of the time. So at the very least we need to able to worry about not able to get caught by the forms of, you know, or should I say, not to get touched by these little goopy stuff. Because if you dare touch it, you die instantly. So you have to be very careful though. Although I will try my best able to actually just to speed things up just a little bit. But not all the time though. But either way though, we'll see what happens there. And also because of how the fact that with New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe back in the day, that I was expecting about the fact that came out in 2019, but for some reason on the forms of the actual copyright numbers, they actually represent what years that it came out. For some reason it did say 2012 to 2018, which I almost first thought that was going to be 2012 to 2019, but it turns out they did not. Oh, darn it! I accidentally slipped onto that particular poison thing. Oh well. At the very least, on the upside is though, we got a checkpoint as soon as I die. But anyway, let's try again. Hopefully, actually, I need to able to get ourselves a bit of a hasty state. Come on! Oh! Oh! Oh, nice. Oh, good lord, man. Just need to be very cautious, not able to, you know, just touch these little things itself. Get one up back, just in case if I somehow die again. So, anyway, and, also I do remember that very disappointing aspect back in the day for 4 years ago, and that's what it appears to be, with the Nintendo Switch Online membership services was a thing, back in the forms of in 2018, and it's just like, why did they do that? I'm guessing they're trying to able to replicate the same method as the forms of Microsoft Xbox, and especially noticeable with the PlayStation Plus services for its PlayStation services for either the 3, Vita, or 4, and before, you know, PlayStation 5. And it's just the fact that they just really want money so much. Like, money, 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 and all that stuff. I think that's what they're going for here. And also, I do fondly remembered as well about the forms of more infos on Super Mario Party, which I always enjoyed that. And also, the new release date for Yoshi's Crafted World. And I do remember with the forms of Isabelle decides to join in for the sake of the forms of, well, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Although, before I get into more details about that, we'll go ahead and meet up with Bowser again. So, hey Bowser. What? It's you? That's it, Mario. I'm going to stomp you into space bits. Alright, we'll try to deal with him from here. So, of course, the actual battle will be exactly the same, except now he'll have himself even more attacks than ever before, such as the forms of that particular spin. So, you can be able to actually do this particular technique when you're trying to able to fight back. That's what appears to be about the fact that, well, you see why in just a moment until whenever we get to the second phase of the fight, especially noticeable in the third and final phase. So, anyway, yeah, with the forms of Isabelle was actually introduced on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which I remember that was actually a cool thing, because unlike Smash 4, the Wii U and 3DS, that she was originated as in the assist trophy, but in Ultimate's case, that she's now a playable character, which is always swell. Mind you, I wasn't exactly great at that character though, most notably because it's almost like a reskinned version of Villager, but either way though, that's only mainly because I wasn't exactly an Animal Crossing player. I must be honest here. And I suppose that's pretty much as far as I can say for this point, because, you know, like I said, what did all these years go by? Even especially noticeable, just remembering things. Oh, by the way, spin attack back at him, so that way you don't need to get hit by the forms of his spin attack. So that way you can able to get yourselves an easier chance to able to defend yourself. So, anyways, let's go ahead and spin attack on Bowser, and do that again. And we defeated him, and somebody is playing Super Mario Maker 2 recently, so that way they'll try out some more levels to try out. Not bad. I guess I choose the right guy to be my arch enemy. At least you always put up a fight. But it's too bad for you, because my master plan is almost complete. Tough luck, Mario. Even though I was a little bit too slow with that particular speech bubble text, but either way though, looks like Bowser's got away again, until we'll meet up with him again until later on, so at the very least we can able to actually retrieve our next Grand Star. In this case, Grand Star number, I would say number 5, at least as far as I can resume it correctly, so maybe I keep thinking about the forms of Super Mario Galaxy 2 for some reason. Because still, Super Mario Galaxy 2 is without a doubt my favorite game in the entirety of the Nintendo Wii life cycle, along with the first game, don't get me wrong, along with the forms of other titles as well, like Metroid Prime Trilogy, and all that jazz. Alright, so now we're done with the majority of the lower level, well, despite the fact that there might be still more to come, until specifically in the future, and now we will be able to actually access to not only the upper level, but also the engine room itself too. And on top of all that stuff though, we can able to actually get into the final level in the game, as soon as you're able to actually collect 60 stars. So, at the very least, we've got 64 power stars. You know, the same number as Super Mario 64 even. We have ascertained the location of your special one. Please, take a look at the circle by your feet. Oh, it's so glowing and sparkly! That number represents the power stars you'll need to reach the center of the universe. That number will decrease with each power star you recover. And when it reaches 0, the Comet Observatory will regain full power and fly as a starship again. And then we will be able to reach the center of the universe. So yeah, after saving our game, then obviously we immediately on to the next conversation with Rosalina. The Comet Observatory has full power, now it can fly through the cosmos again. So now we reach to 0 stars onto that point. It's time. Do you want to go to the location of your special one at the center of the universe? Let's just wait for a little longer, because obviously we still need to get even more power stars along the way, and also experiencing the next dome. So yeah, join me next time for more of Let's Play of Super Mario 3D All-Stars in Super Mario Galaxy, and that we'll now get able to actually go ahead and explore the engine room. So I'll see you guys on the next day. Later, fellas.